What's up, Mets fans? Orange and Blue Thing back at you. Season 7, episode 20. It is 718. 718 would be July 18th, 2023. That is not Julia Quadrino. That is James Zappa, who this is not his first time on the show.
That is true.
If you remember your first time on the show.
Yeah, I was on an airplane bathroom.
In an airplane bathroom, on an airplane, in the bathroom. Where were you headed?
Going to Denver because I went up the day before you guys to just kind of do the bars by myself. And yeah, you and Julia were like, call in. So I went to the bathroom, snuck in. I think that's illegal. But
is it really?
Probably.
I think what's funny is that when you're on an airplane and you got like so much noise from the engines, you probably talk a lot louder than you expect. So you go to the bathroom, you're talking to us, and people are like, well, why is this guy in the bathroom talking to himself?
I was thinking that, and I was like, let me make this as quick as possible. And I know there was like a big delay. So
it was weird.
But
it was cool for us to be like, all right, we got someone on the show that's actually flying right now. And then that would end up being a mess because it snowed the next day, and we had that snow out.
Yeah.
So for a variety of reasons, which we did get clearance that we are allowed to announce for one of the reasons why Julia is not here, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We might have a special guest pop in. I don't know if that's a possibility. And that's also a lot of pressure because I said, I totally understand that this is not really the time or place for you to go live with us. But if you want to, here's the link. So we might have a special guest pop in a second. But so we were going to do Big Apple Trivia with Julia hosting from Citi Field. We were going to film it on Sunday and then edit it and have that be this week's Orange and Blue Thing. And then it rained on Sunday. The game got pushed from 1 to 5. It kind of screwed our whole plans up. And then we canceled that and said, screw it, let's just do a show. But did you see Howie Rose has coronavirus?
Does he?
Yeah. So Howie was going to be on with us. So we almost dodged a bullet from catching corona from Howie. But shout out to Howie. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah.
He tweeted, what do you write? Good news is I was supposed to get a tooth pulled. No, wait. Bad news is I was supposed to get a tooth pulled. Good news is I didn't get my tooth pulled because I have COVID. So I try to, have fun with it there. But shout out to Howie. Hopefully you're feeling better. So our plan was to walk around Citi Field, interview not interview, but do Big Apple Trivia, which if you don't know, Julia invented that from her basement during COVID, and do Mets trivia with fans around the ballpark, give them cash prizes or gift cards. I don't know what we were going to do. And then Howie was going to be on, but we were going to donate to a charity of Howie's choice. Obviously, probably would have been the Mets Foundation, but thanks to Howie for saying yes, but then it didn't end up happening. So how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I go to the office once a week for my job, and today happened to be that day. Get the call from Darren at 12:30.
Yeah, we hit are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so we hit the bullpen today. Yeah. Ask Zappa if you'd fill in.
Yeah, so I cut out of work a little early. We got the game tonight. Come and do a podcast. And my office is a dead zone, so no social media for the day. So some of these topics I'm seeing, like, wait, what happened? So
yeah, there are a few things that popped up last night on Twitter. We don't know if it's true or not, so we're not going to put any kind of like weight on it. But we will get to that in a little bit. But yeah, so Zappa, I do give Zappa a ride to the games a lot from out here, and we've been taking the truck. And then for the last couple of games that have been weekdays, we were like, all right, you know what? The weekday tailgates are a little bit lighter. If you remember years past, the weekdays we never tailgated. We would meet up in the brewery or McFadden's, and then McFadden's is gone and the brewery changed hands. So we don't do either of those things anymore. So I brought the truck, I think, on one weekday game, probably for the Subway Series. But I was like, besides this, if the tailgate parties are not like jammed, then what's the point of bringing the truck? It kind of just makes my life harder to have to do that.
Darren will say throughout the course of the tailgate today about 15 to 20 times, I'm so glad I didn't bring the truck. Yeah. He does it at every weekday game. And especially
when the weather's iffy, like today, I think we're going to be okay. But like the weather, I can't remember a day over the past 2 months that the weather has not been shitty, or at least the chance of being shitty. We haven't had clear days, even like 3rd of July, 4th of July, like that whole stretch, all of June, pretty much all of May. It's been chance of, or it did rain at some point of the day.
Yeah, it seems like my memory goes back to going up to Philly, and it's like started when we left for Philly.
Miami.
Well, yeah, it rained then, but I'm saying like this 30% chance of rain every day, but it doesn't ever rain. It's been like for a month now. And
let's see what weather. Oh, he didn't even tweet today. So the weather account that I promote a lot on the show, or even on Twitter, which is at WX Mets weather. It is unaffiliated with the Mets or MLB, but it is operated. Oh, I never even saw it before. It's operated by Brian Mastro. That may be a new thing. He's a meteorologist. I had no idea. So look at this. This is actually breaking news here. So Mets weather, if you follow them on Twitter or him on Twitter, he usually tweets out, some kind of Doppler or whatever for that night's game, but nothing yet from him. But I think so far, if you check now, let me see what it says for later. I think like 4:00, it doesn't look the greatest out there.
I think it. I just checked as I was driving, not at a red light, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it says it clears up around 4, and then we're good for the rest.
Storms likely to end around 3:30. Localized flooding is possible. There is like a big radar. A big a band of weather heading its way towards Queens right now. And like Zappa just said, hopefully it's cleared out before we even get there, because it already is after 2:00. The game's at 7 and we're not even there yet. So we will get on the road as soon as this is over and then head on over to the Marina lot with a whole bunch of Coronas. So come on over and responsibly enjoy yourself if you're 21 and over, of course. So we had the garage sale this past weekend. We haven't had an in-person sale in, 4 years, way before COVID. And you were thankfully available to help us out with crowd control. Was everyone pretty behaved out there?
Yeah, other than, there was a couple people that, it was a hot day and the line was pretty long. And there was we're not a Foot Locker. We're going through bumps and bruises of doing an in-person event. So there were 99% of the people were understanding.
Yeah.
Few people, got a little upset, but, overall, I would say good time, good crowd. Everyone was talking.
Yeah. One guy was asking why we didn't have the cooler full of Coronas outside for him. But, you can't make everybody happy.
Exactly. And you got to drive responsibly.
Yeah, of course. And maybe lift it up. We're getting some comments here from the fact checkers saying that you got to talk louder.
All right. I'll talk louder.
That's perfect. That was perfect. Yeah. So, it is. This is my 15th season doing the 7 line, which is crazy to think about. But what I have noticed over the years, that I'm probably guilty of it as well, I don't always read everything. So a lot of people didn't read, like, hey, to get in order to come in first, you had to purchase something, which is you're picking up an order and then you could take part in the free gifts and the discounts. So some people didn't read that. They wanted to give you an earful, but I think you and Danny handled it perfectly.
Yeah, I used some managerial experience and let Danny get yelled at. I was like, hey, I think that person wants to talk to you. And sorry, Danny.
Yeah, but it went well and everyone seemed to have a good time. We moved a ton of merch. And the whole purpose of it was to just make some space, because we have a lot of stuff coming in for the holidays and for the fall. And, with the way the Mets have been playing, of course, there are ebbs and flows of everything. When the Mets win, we do a little bit better. When they lose, we don't do as great. But we have some stuff to move, and thankfully the fans showed up. We did the math, like a couple hundred fans probably walked through the door, at least 200.
Yeah, I would say at least 200.
At least 200, which is nice. And like you said, it was a hot day, so I appreciate everyone standing out there and braving the hot. And you know what? Really, realistically, if I had known that many people were going to show up, we probably could have called like a Mr. Softy or put out some tents for 10 by 10, like pop-ups or something to give a little shade. There's none out there.
There's nothing out there. And yeah, thanks for showing up. And yeah, and Mr. Softy, you've been great.
Next year, if we do it again, we'll see. We don't really have anything to give away anymore. Like we're pretty much out. So I don't know if we can have another one. Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, keep buying. That way Darren doesn't have to do this.
Yeah. So if you've been watching along the past few weeks, I've been talking about probably a couple months. I've been talking about how my back's been bothering me. I pretty much threw my back out when I was 14, and I haven't had a good back since. I'm in my 40s now. And I had an MRI this morning, which I was telling you about before we went live. Have you ever had an MRI?
I got one on my ankle when I was young, but my job, I read a lot of MRI reports, so I know what they kind of look like. No, I'm not a doctor. I just I
didn't know what to expect. So I know you're not supposed to move, and you see the hospital for special surgery. Shout out to the Mets, because they're always there. They usually are. It's on my back, my lower back. So my MRI, I had to sit, and I wasn't allowed to move for a half hour at all. So normally you could, what I've seen, that you lay and you go in that tube. Mine, I had to sit, and the guy put a pillow on my lap, and I had to hold this buzzer in case I was in an emergency, if I was getting claustrophobic or something. But he gave me earplugs. It's really loud. I didn't expect that. So there's weird noises going on the whole time, and I'm sitting there not trying to move. I don't want to fuck it up, because the guy said to me, if you move, we got to do it again. So don't move. But my back's been aching me for months. So it did start kind of freezing up, and I wasn't sure, all right, if I kind of move a little bit, I'm going to screw it up. So I held through, and I watched some HGTV show of a remodeling something that's closed captions, obviously, because of the noise.
Team subtitles.
Got through that. And then we'll see what happens because my chiropractor is the one that wrote me the referral. So we'll see in a couple of days what's going on back there. But I know my body pretty good, and something's going on. Like even when we bowl,
wrist check.
I know the wrist also, but that's not as major as the back. But even during bowling, like my neck and my back, like I'm always fucked up.
You're a mess.
I'm a mess. So I got to figure out what's going on with me. And thankfully, if there's one positive that comes out of this, there's nothing to ride out here anymore. The tracks are closed. Yeah. So it's not like I'm missing out on anything. I can't ride anyway.
Yeah, but we got bowling season coming up. We need that wrist fixed.
Oh, speaking of, if you've been following along, Zappa did own up to his punishment from, not renewing us into the fall league last year of bowling. His punishment was he had to wear heels at the 4th of July party at my house, which he did do, which is crazy too, because you ratted yourself out.
Well, because I knew
we all forgot.
We all forgot. We've been partaking responsibly in some Coronas all day,
of course,
and we kind of forgot. And then it was before the fireworks. Had to be like.
I thought it was after the fireworks.
No, it was before. I remember that.
It was before the fireworks.
I remembered, and I'm like, if I don't do this today, this is never going to go away. We'll just make another punishment another time. So I had to get it over with, and I put the heels on, and yeah, I don't envy women because those are not comfortable.
Well, they didn't look comfortable. I'm surprised you even knew what size to get. I guess you looked it up on Google or something like the comparison chart. Yeah. So props to you for owning up. That night turned into such a shit show. I mean, Shoe's not coming tonight, I don't think, but if you see him this weekend in Boston, he might still have a little bit of a swollen eyelid. Nothing bad happened. Well, whatever. It was fun.
It was a wrestling match. It wasn't a fight. So it just he wanted to wrestle, and it wasn't me, but someone,
Well, him and Richie.
It was Richie. And Richie won.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't try to wrestle Richie at like 1 a.m. after all day.
Concrete.
Yeah, not a good idea. So speaking of not good ideas, well, I think it's a phenomenal idea, but for some reason you don't want to go. So we're going to Boston on Friday. Our outing is on Saturday. I was able, I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. Since we sold so many tickets, I did get comped some tickets for Friday night. So I've been texting you and Shoe. Shoe doesn't even reply.
Shoe hasn't answered you.
And I say, hey guys, I got some pretty sweet tickets for Friday night. Are you sure you don't want to go to the game? You said you'd rather, explore Boston, which is cool. Shoe doesn't reply at all. And now I'm gonna go by myself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to the game tonight. We're gonna go Saturday. We're only there, Friday afternoon.
But the games are so quick now.
They are, but
and it's Fenway.
I know, but we've been to Fenway. It's not the first time. I'd like to have one night in the city and one night at the game. So
all right. So I'm going to go to the game Friday by myself. Senga's pitching. If you're going to be around, let me know.
Maybe Shoe will still go.
Maybe.
He just hasn't answered you.
Well, we're going to get to the point in a second, but not the point. But I can't believe I can. It's almost to the same factor or the same realm of when I texted Keith Terra. And he said, I'd rather not waste my time and money on going to a Met game right now, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And I tweeted that and it got a whole bunch of action. But this is almost on the same level, because if the Mets were playing great right now and it was, let's say, a dominant Scherzer was on the mound Friday or Verlander or something, and, Senga's great. I mean,
Senga's been their best pitcher this year. If you're going to see someone
you wouldn't
right now,
be saying no.
Senga.
You would be going to the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But,
it's almost you watch the show. Yeah. Julia says this a lot. We talk about it a lot too. Like when you put things into perspective of when coronavirus hit and you could start doing other things with your time, you kind of prioritize things a little bit differently. So when it was baseball, Mets, the 7-line Army, let's go travel, let's go do this. You don't want to miss an inning. Now it's like, all right, Mets are playing like shit. A couple weeks away from the trade deadline. The Mets are probably going to be sellers. You're in Boston hanging out with friends. Would you rather go to the game to watch this crap or go out in Boston? And I get it. That's why you're going out in Boston.
Exactly.
All right.
It's just
now you're talking me out of it. Maybe I'm not going to the game either.
I mean,
no, I'm going. I'm absolutely going. Shout out to the Red Sox for hooking me up. I will be there. And maybe I'll just, you know what I might do? Since I have 4 seats, I might sit in a different seat each inning. Mm-hmm. And if anyone sits in those other 3, I'm going to tell them they got to move.
Yeah, I don't think you do that.
Tell them to move?
You would not tell them to move.
I'm going to tell them to move.
You wouldn't tell them.
These are my 4 seats. Even though no one's in them, I'm sitting here. Maybe I'll bring stuff with me and I'll be like, this is my seat. I'll put my hat there.
So what if a kid just went and sat down?
That's fine. Kids are different. Kids are
just like those kids in Philly that sat in front of us. Those weren't their seats. They moved over. They were cool to talk to.
When was this?
The Friday night.
The Friday night game? Oh, yeah.
That was a fun
night.
Seats,
that was a fun night.
They were right in front of us. They weren't.
Too bad Richie didn't come. We gambled that night. I had a great night.
I did not.
I don't even like. All right, so for those of you who don't know, well, maybe you do. When we talk about gambling on the show, which we'll get to the bet for tonight, which Zappa's going to do on the spot. I didn't tell him that until just now. But I kind of swore off gambling last summer. I was like, you know what? I'll put a $2 here and there on baseball, but I'm not going to casinos anymore. And I kind of put my foot down on that. We were in Philly, just the two of us. And, you know, the Mets game was what it was. They lost and it was raining. And we're like, screw it. Let's go to the casino, which was like a stone's throw away. I had like $100 in my pocket. We sat at the table for 4 hours. I never went to the ATM and I drank like 1 million free Coronas. Had a good night.
Yeah, I had the opposite night. I mean, I sat there and had a bunch of free drinks, but I know how
they're not really free though when you come out with like how much did you spend?
Your money. But Darren doesn't know how to play blackjack.
No, I don't.
And I do. And he's sitting next to me and I'm playing more or less both hands.
Yeah.
But Darren's winning all the money and I'm losing all the money. So it was
it's really just the luck of the draw where you sit, you know, like and I did learn a lot that night. The next day I learned about what go to the woods means.
Go to the woods.
Yeah, that kid, I don't know, we randomly sat next to this kid and whenever he wanted to deal with a bust, he would just yell at her, to the woods, and she was not having fun. Like I'm all about like, oh, shout out to Entourage. Today's the 18-year anniversary of the season premiere of Entourage, but I think about blackjack with Ari Gold and Vince sitting at that table in Vegas. They're not supposed to hit. They hit anyway. They all win, something like that. I like when there's like a vibe going. I'm the same way with like bars or restaurants or hanging out with friends. I'm all about the atmosphere. And when that kid he was bringing it, it was fun. But that dealer was a stick in the mud.
That's why I like blackjack, because it's like you're on a team against the dealer. And
yeah.
Usually the dealer wants you to win. This woman was not excited.
No, she was like, why are you telling me to go to the? She didn't get it. There may have been something wrong with her.
I think so.
Yeah, but either way. Oh my God. What about the lady the night before? We lost hands in blackjack and she paid us anyway.
That had to be her last night working there, first and last.
Yeah.
She couldn't count.
Yeah.
She would deal you a 20 or let's just say a 19. She'd deal herself a 20. She'd count and think you had 21 and pay you out. Yeah. She wasn't doing towards the end. I think she started doing it on purpose because she liked us, but she's getting
I was tipping her. I was tipping her pretty good.
But she got fired.
Absolutely. That was definitely her last night. I mean, I'm not the quickest counter either. Like, to be honest, I'm horrible at math. And as I'm sitting there and you count very quickly, and the kid that was like really wasted that one night, he could count really fast too, but he was pretty much blacked out at the table. But that lady was just giving us free money. Usually, and remember the one guy was like, take it. He's like, she paid us out, and we were like, put it with your stack before the pit boss realizes that she fucked up before they could take it back.
Yeah,
it was great.
I usually like am counting as I go because I'm quick math. I had to stop because I was giving her the answers and I needed to stop.
Yeah. Don't do that. So speaking of the MRIs and shit like that, I'm really just trying to get my back right. There's a place in Bayport called Bayport Sports Recovery or Sport. Let me look it up so I don't screw this up. But I've been doing this cold plunge challenge. Today was day 4. And I was reading something on Instagram yesterday, and it's like, you ever hear that thing when it says it's called Bayport Athletic Recovery? Shout out to Isser, the owner. You always know someone who does CrossFit because they can't stop telling you about CrossFit. So I read this thing about like, I guess cold plunging is like, it's been around forever, but more people are doing it now. More places are popping up and they offer it at their facilities. So now people that do it want to talk about it all the time. So this is my 4th day of doing the cold plunge challenge. So this place in Bayport is doing $50 to enter. If you could cold plunge for 20 straight days, you're up for $1,000 cash. So I'm one of the 20 people that signed up to make the 20,000. 8 people already quit. And unfortunately, I know I can't do the 20 straight days because we're going to Boston. But when I went there, my back was, it's not debilitating. Like I can't move around and walk, but if I had to go run right now, I probably couldn't. I went there for like a deep tissue massage, which really kicked my ass. It was I was like sweating after this massage. Not like an enjoyable one, but he recommended the cold plunge. And I was like, listen, I'll do it, but I can't complete it. And he's like, listen, it's $25 every time you go. So I already spent $100 worth of cold plunges for $50. So although I can't do the 20, I'm going to do 18 and I can't win, but who cares? It's a challenge. It's a mental challenge.
Does it get any easier like day by day, or is it just as awful every time?
You should try it. Like I know that we talked about like Shu doesn't like the cold. I don't know how you are with the cold, but
I mean, the only thing I can compare to is back in like my college sports days, which are a long time ago now, going into the ice bath.
It's pretty much the same, right?
It was the worst. I hated it.
Was it like a tub with ice in it? Like how did they do it?
I mean, it was like a whirlpool. So it depended on what was bothering you. Like,
did they tell you the temperature?
No, it's just like they took water and you just saw there was ice cubes everywhere.
Gotcha.
It
It's probably similar
just dump
then.
ice into it.
It's probably similar.
I usually didn't have to go like full body because usually it was like my legs.
Oh, I go to
and
my neck.
knee.
Yeah.
But I was 20 and my neck wasn't hurting. It was
well, no, your
legs.
timer doesn't start until you're in. Your hands have to be under, and you got to be up to your neck, and then he starts the timer. But
I mean, I don't hate the cold like shoe, but I don't love it enough to do that either.
Yeah, well, I'll try anything at this point, just because like I really want to just know what's going on with my body and all the benefits I've been reading. It's like whatever. It's just a lot of benefits is what they say for this. So I'm going to give it a shot. And I think just mentally, like you get in, like you said, does it get easier? My first day I went in, the minimum to be a part of this challenge is 3 minutes, and the water is 42 degrees, so it's cold. And I got in and I did the 3 minutes, no problem. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to stay in. Give me another minute. So we came back at 4 and I got out. So the first 3 days I did 4 minutes, and today I pushed it to 5. So I had him set the initial timer for 4 instead of 3. Came in, I was like, hey, hit me with another minute. But the first time I got in, it was such a shock that like I almost had to get out because I got into the water and my body got into such a shock I couldn't really breathe. I was like really deep breathing and trying to catch my breath. And you look at your watch afterwards, like the spikes, my watch was all fucked up with like my body was just really confused. But today, I mean, and yesterday too, I think when I get in, I know what to expect now. And if you really focus on your breathing, like you're in and out, like just like kind of like when you're running, you don't just breathe out of your mouth. You're going to go out, you'll lose your breath easier that way. So I'm good now. I mean, I want to push it to 6 or 7 minutes. That'd be great.
Yeah, go for it.
Especially because I got to miss 2 days. So I want to I know I'm going to miss the 2 days, but people who are doing the bare minimum of 3 minutes, I'm like, well, if you collectively add up my 18 days instead of your 20, and I'm doing 2 or 3 minutes extra per day, then I kind of did more cold plunging than you.
I also feel like you should get a pass for the 2 days that like you told them in the beginning, I'm pre-planned missing them. You should get like 2 days extended to the end of it.
I would do that. Well, I can't believe, well, I guess it's not fair though. I mean, honestly, like if you do live locally and you're not going on vacation and you can make it every day, then, more power to you. But honestly, it's for this, I like to challenge myself on stuff. And like, I think that just having some kind of challenge, whether it's 18 days or 10 days, whatever it is, knowing that 8 people already quit, I'm kind of happy with that,
Oh yeah, you want to finish in the top.
Yeah,
at least close to it.
The owner was like, "Yeah, some scheduling conflicts came up. You're only in it for 3 minutes. Give me a break. If you live close by, you can make 3 minutes
as long as you're not out of town."
Right. You bullshit on your phone for more than 3 minutes, like probably per hour. You could sit there in a cold tub. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you get your screen time. It says like, what does yours say?
Way too much.
What do you think? You don't have to be embarrassed.
The thing is, like, it depends because sometimes I'll listen to like music type noises on YouTube to go to sleep to.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I do that a lot,
that counts.
Week, I think it counts. I don't know.
Does it count? Like, let's say you turn on a podcast. Does it count like the hour that the podcast is on?
I don't know if it counts like
unless you're scrolling and looking at it.
Like if the screen, like, your podcast's going, but the screen's off. I don't know if it counts or not. So
yeah.
I've never really like broken down the screen time to see if like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, that's true too. Like let's say you're sitting in the car and you got the Bluetooth on, but you have on like an hour-long video. Mm-hmm. That probably counts as screen time.
If it's a video, because you're looking at it. But like I stream when I'm in the car, I like to stream a lot of podcasts, and I don't know if that counts towards screen time or not, because technically the phone's going, but sure there's somebody that knows that. I just never cared to find out.
Let us know in the comments if you know if that counts or not. So we will get to a couple more topics in a second, but I glanced over this because the Friday night tickets I'm trying to give Zappa, which he's not going to use, are like $108 each after I looked it up on TickPick, because clearly, like I said, not to pat my own back, but the Red Sox are very nice to us and they did comp a few tickets for Friday. I keep getting called by someone. If it's you, just stop calling me because I'm not going to answer it. It says no caller ID.
And it's not our cold caller because you have that number.
No. I do have someone that if they want to join, they can. I doubt they will, but that's totally different. It's not going to be a phone call guest. It will be a video guest if they want to. So shout out to TickPick. No hidden fees, more savings with over $100 million in customer savings and counting. They guarantee the best prices. So let's look up the New York Mets, for instance, because that is the team that we both like, right? So if you wanted to, you can get in tonight for $10. It says it's a hot event. If you don't know, they are giving away the basketball jerseys tonight. The Mets, the road gray basketball jerseys, first 15,000 people through the doors. $10 tonight. You can go tomorrow for $5. What is this? Topps baseball cards. They're giving away baseball cards tomorrow? News to me. I have no knowledge of that. So if you wanted to go tomorrow, you can go for $5. And if you wanted to go on Thursday, I'm sorry, you can go for $4. Oh my God, that's a bad sign, Zappa. We've been talking about this each week. If you can get tickets for under $4, if you can get them for $4, no fees, that's more than my coffee.
That's a great deal. And I mean,
it's a great deal, but it's bad. It's bad for the Mets.
Bad, but with the schedule changes, everything, you'll be seeing these teams more often. But it's the last time you saw the White Sox play. It's kind of there's some players on there you might like to enjoy. There's one of their guys, Lewis Robert, hitting tons of home runs. I don't know who's pitching for them because I didn't look, but see some players you haven't seen before. So
coming out to the ballpark. If you're coming tonight, though, don't forget we are going to be pre-gaming after the show. We have to load up and head on over to the Marina lot. If you are of age, come relax responsibly with some Coronas with us. We're going to be hanging out there up until around like 6:30. And don't be scared of a little rain. The Marina lot, this is probably where we're going to park just in case we don't have to move. Underneath the highway, there's enough space for like a couple hundred cars. So pull on into the lot and then pull towards the right, and there's a fence with an opening right near the end of Seaver Way. That's probably where we're going to be parked. So I'll have a flag and a cooler. So come on down. I don't think Elvis is going to be setting up. And the General and Amanda are both missing today's game because they're in the hospital. Amanda is about to give birth today. Shout out to the Indarts. They are going to be welcoming the newest edition of their crew and the latest addition to the 7-Line Army. I'm guessing today. They've been at the hospital since 2:30 this morning. So if not, that will be a very, very long labor. So for both of their sakes, especially her sake, I hope that this baby comes sooner than later. Maybe even now. Maybe we can get a live birth right on the show. That would be excellent. We were both pushing for the water birth. Not me and you, but I think like me and Kelly and everyone basically on the 3rd of July would have been pretty crazy to have a water birth if Amanda was able to speed up the process a little bit. But
we were kind of hoping in the group text, we were asking Andrew, like, did anything crazy happen? Because you just expect Andrew's going to have some chaotic story. If you ever talk to Andrew, he's very expressive. He tells these great stories. And I wanted something hilarious to happen to him without inconveniencing Amanda somehow, but based on it sounds like it was really basic, and he said nothing like you would see on TV.
So shout out to them. Let's give some comments here. Shout out to Amanda. Everyone give her some good luck comments in the chat. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and we appreciate you guys checking in each week. Zachary wants to know if they will sweep the White Sox. I don't know what the betting odds are on that, but if the Mets can sweep anyone right now, I mean, may as well do it now because the season is not getting any younger. What do you think, Zap? Is that a possibility? We got Carrasco on the mound tonight.
So, I mean, as a betting man, I will probably bet it now because I feel like I'm going to have to, but I'm not feeling great about it.
Let's see what it says. Let's check the books really quick. Zappa doesn't have service in here. I didn't share the Wi-Fi password with him before we went live. So let me head on over and see what the odds are on that when you can get over to the future bets. Let's see. Series props. The Mets are minus 215 to win the series. There's no sweep option. So unless there is, do you know about that? Series correct score. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I don't even have my glasses here. Mets to sweep would be plus 350. Do we want to put something on that? I mean, I'll do it right now.
I feel like now we have to because now if it happens and we don't bet it.
All right, I'm going to bet that right now. I'm running out of money. Zappa was nice enough to throw me a let me see, share to the groups.
While Darren drives me a bunch of places on the way down to Philly, he'll never accept money for gas or anything like that. So how do I help him? Hey, get him a DraftKings gift card, and that way it helps me too because it gives me someone to gamble with.
Yeah, so I stretched it out. I mean, Philly was like a month ago.
We won a lot that weekend.
Yeah,
well, you won in everything, but we won actually all.
And the Mets won.
We were hitting parlays. It was great, and now
we even did some live bets. We did live bets at the game.
Nimmo live bet home run. It hit plus 650. So
yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But if last year we made a ton of money betting on the bets, and unfortunately, we're not the type of people that can bet against them, even though I want
Richie
to.
Richie
did.
Richie did on Sunday.
And then the Mets won.
Yeah. So we will get to that because I wrote down here something that Zappa was a little confused about. So Senga and Betts after the walk-off. Did you happen to catch that?
I did not.
I saw it live, and it was like, I don't know, call me a little old school, but back in maybe even like 10 years ago, I feel like announcers would always say like fraternizing with the other team was like against the rules, whether it was like an actual rule or like an unwritten rule, kind of like bat flips or whatever. you didn't usually see players talk to each other. So like even like when David Wright would get to first and he'd like bullshit with Ryan Howard or something, it was almost kind of like not like it was encouraged, but it was almost like against the rules, right? Did you ever notice that?
It was, and a lot of the old school people still think that way. But I mean, these people that grow up playing these sports together, the minors, a lot of these guys, if they go to high school, they go to specialized high schools that they play together. So, I mean, they're going to be friends. It's only they can understand each other's experiences. Like regular people don't know what it's like to be a professional baseball player.
Well, I think that like Senga and Betts, the probably only time, besides when they were playing the Dodgers recently, the only time they would know each other maybe from the All-Star game.
True. Yeah. I didn't see this. Julia loves to talk about dogs. Sunday night, I was helping dog sit. So not with Julia, but I feel like as host in Julia's seat, I should bring up a dog or two.
Yeah. What about the dogs? So someone else tweeted this out also, but here's what I caught. When you go to Twitter and you search Senga and Betts, this is kind of weird to me. So like the Mets are all, I mean, granted, I'm not talking shit on Senga, players, the evolvement of what players are, how they carry themselves has clearly changed over the years. But Senga and Betts hugging each other after the Mets had just walked off. Like Luis Guillorme had that single and the Dodgers lost, and Betts is laughing and Senga's hugging him. Almost looks like he's touching his crotch, but he's not.
That's weird. The first time I'm seeing it, like I said, I've been a little off social
strange,
media
right?
the last few days.
A little strange.
It's a little strange.
I mean, people were saying, okay, Betts to the Mets confirmed, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't want to talk shit on Senga, but
I almost think of it more maybe like obviously they didn't, but how players like exchange jerseys, maybe his first time meeting him, likes him.
I don't know. You never
know.
It's a weird thing.
I'm putting some headcanon out there.
So the amount of like hate that even like Millage got, I mean, clearly this wasn't against with another team, but like Millage got for running down the stands at Shea, high-fiving everyone on that Sunday game or Saturday game after he hit a home run. That was like against all the rules. Like how dare could you do that? And now I feel like after your team walks off, granted they were about to be swept again, and then Senga's hugging Betts, I thought that was a little strange. But
the hug's a little strange. The high-fiving and stuff, I know, again, baseball's got a lot more rigid, unwritten rules than other sports, and
it's pouring right now.
Wow, yeah. I think they should lean more into the celebrations and with the kids play.
Yeah, but with each other. I mean, if I was a Dodgers fan, I'd be like,
no, hugging after the game. I'm not. That one's weird.
Yeah,
like if you want a jersey exchange or something, go for it. But a hug feels weird after a tough loss. It wasn't like a series ending, like like handshake, good luck. Wow.
Yeah, it's pouring. This must be the band that the radar that just passed over Queens. Now we're like 25 miles east of Citi Field, but. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I don't want to be like a Scrooge here. I get it. The Mets had just won. Senga wasn't pitching. Betts didn't make like an error to end the game. Like there's different circumstances. Speaking of errors, Beatty taking one off the face. That's tough. Like he didn't even like, how they say like don't rub it. Like when players get hit by a pitch, they try to make the most of it and make it like it doesn't hurt. When he took that ball, I don't know if it was his cheek or his nose. He didn't flinch.
I know.
That's tough.
Tough kid.
Yeah. And it's the second time over the past couple of weeks that he's owned up to, rough plays. That one throw he had a couple of weeks ago and the press was at his locker and he's like took full accountability. Hey, I need to make that play. This is on me. Like you want to hear that from a kid that you expect to be here for a while. Speaking of expecting people to be here for a while, the trade deadline is a couple of weeks away and people are asking in the comments what we think. I think that you'd have to be almost living on another planet right now to think that the Mets are going to be buyers.
Unless the Mets win like every game
from now until August 1st.
All-Star break, I'm sorry, until the trade deadline. You'd be sabotaging your future seasons to chase a wild card spot maybe in a year that it just doesn't feel like.
Well, there's 4 or 5 teams ahead of them now for the final wild card spot. I mean, it looked like they were heating up towards the end of the first half, which is it was more than the first half. You say first half, even though the All-Star break is further into the season. But, to sweep in Arizona, then lose 2 of 3 in San Diego, and then come out of the gate as flat as they've been to only win the one game on Sunday. We'll see what happens this week. But they needed to come out of the gate, clicking on all cylinders, and clearly that hasn't happened.
Like that Nimmo almost home run going over the wall.
Yeah, and that was the only hit.
It was like symbolic of the whole season,
and it was the only hit of the game.
Yeah, it's symbolic of the whole season though, because like they haven't been embarrassed in a lot of games. They keep losing these games by 1 run or a bullpen blows it. That home run almost being a home run and then no more hits is like, feels like how the whole season has been.
A lot of people have been pointing this out. I don't have the stats in front of me here, but what is it? Omar Minaya fan. It's he used to have a podcast. I can't remember what it was called, but he put something up. Let me see if I can find it quick before I just have this dead air here. But everyone is so quick to shit on guys like Vogelback, but this season really, besides Verlander and Scherzer not living up to what we expected them to, if Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil had different seasons so far, this season is totally different. You come from having the bat, winning the batting title last year, and Pete Alonso hitting like 173 since June. Two guys that you need to be producers. And then everyone's like, oh, I don't want to see Vogelback stand there and strike out, looking. The season would be much different if our two big guys, granted Pete was hurt for a little bit, were doing their jobs, So let me pull this up. Let me see if I can find it, because it may have been a day or so ago. But and speaking of having a good season, you see how Escobar's playing out there? And
yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Lindor's got the counting stats at this point, but we're still everybody's pretty much been underperforming.
I thought it was Omar Minaya.
I
don't know. Whatever.
No idea.
Look it up. Go on Twitter and check it out. So I think absolutely they need to be sellers. We will see what happens. Like you said, if they win every day from now until the end of July, we'll see what happens. But I saw a rumor last night, Carrasco, the Tampa Bay Rays may have some interest in Carrasco. But I mean, you know what it is these days? Like, everyone wants to be like first, or they want to have like these sources, and they'll tweet stuff hoping it comes true, so they can be like, I was right, I was first, this, whatever. Let me see if I could find any kind of credibility to that. But we do have Carrasco on the mound tonight.
I mean, Carrasco's obviously not a big piece, so if you want to trade him to Tampa, sure. Tampa's one of those teams that seems to win every trade that they're involved in. They trade away guys at the right time. They trade for guys at the right time. So I'm always a little suspect of trading with them. But like you said, it's Carrasco. It's not a big player. Take a prospect, move on.
So this is, again, one of those accounts that I don't even know who runs this. I don't know if it has any credibility, but Mets Bat Flip 1. This got some tweets last night, or retweets, and that's how I found it. But now we're giving you a little plug here. So follow Mets. Oh, well, I'm not telling you to do that, but that's what their bio says. So it's Mets Bat Flip. It says news: Rays are showing interest in Carlos Carrasco per source. Who knows if Mets Bat Flip actually has sources, or if they just tweet stuff and hopefully it comes right. And that's not talking shit, because I'm sure a lot of people might do that, but who knows? Another thing we saw last night was Mauricio was supposed to be getting called up today. Again, is that true? Who knows? Martino came out and said that is not true.
I can't see him.
Martino's not my favorite guy, but
I can't see him being called up before the trade deadline. They either have to clear spots for him, or in the dream scenario of where you make a crazy run, his trade value is never higher than when you're in the minors and you're the top guy. But he's not getting traded. He's staying and going to get called up probably in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, once there's a spot for him, once they do move some things around, we'll see what happens. But if I had to guess right now, I think that the Mets maybe do nothing instead of because who's really worth something right now? Marte's saying he's hurt.
Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham's worth something. David Robertson's worth a lot. He's on a 1-year deal. You can actually get a legit prospect probably for David Robertson. He's probably your biggest trade chip.
All right, so Robertson, Pham, we'll see. Honestly, like a tweet the other night, I can't remember who it was. I retweeted it. I think it was Rob Brender, something like that. I'm totally butchering that because I should know that, but I think it's Rob Bender. He said like there's only a few untouchable guys, and then like everyone else should be up for grabs. But like, what is Jeff McNeil worth right now? Mets owe him a ton of money. He's coming off a great year, but he didn't get his car this year. Now he's playing like shit. So you're wearing the Francisco t-shirt, by the way.
I am. If you can get a buyer for Scherzer and you can get some sort of prospect back, he's due $40 million team option next year, so you probably have to take on some of the salary. But if you can get rid of him and get a good prospect, he's someone to look to move too.
Yeah, honestly,
I think that'd be a unlikely scenario, but if it happens, go for it.
Okay, it's less than 2 weeks away, because the 31st is a week from next Monday. And we were talking about it before the show. I think that last year the trade deadline went a little longer because the season started late because of the lockout. So I think the trade deadline was not July 31st last year.
Yeah. There was 1 year, and time all kind of blends together, where I think it fell on a certain day of the week. Like, I don't know if it fell on a Sunday and they're like, we don't want the trade deadline to be on a Sunday.
Really?
So they moved it. There was some year like that. I mean, I might be completely making this up, but I feel like it happened.
This is Orange and Blue thing. We don't
Yeah.
have to be completely accurate with our information here. Half the time we say stuff and then we ask the commenters if we're right or wrong. So we can kind of do that as well. If you haven't joined the sweepstakes yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you go, let me show you what to do. So you go on over to our Twitter account or any account, and there's a link tree here. So you click this, and it's going to bring you to, I'll show you the little splash page here. I called a splash page last week too. I don't know if that makes sense, but brings you to all these options. The fourth one down, it says the Francisco Collection, and that is the sweepstakes that is free to join, and we encourage you to do so because you can win some free stuff and no purchase is necessary. That's why I keep saying free to join. But let me put in my advanced age of 42 years old. I keep clicking this, which doesn't remember me, but it never remembers me. So you can win some limited edition items thanks to Corona and the Mets from the Lindor collection by NYC-based artist Sen 2. And the good news is I heard back from my contact over there. We are going to get some products here that we can give away additionally on top of you trying to enter this sweepstakes. So head on over to any of our social channels, click the link and enter. Obviously, whatchamacallit, scroll down to the bottom, put your name, your state, your email address, your phone number, and verify all of the following is correct and hit submit. And then you're automatically in there. So every time Francisco hits a different milestone, another product is released and then fans win that free stuff. So the last one was the backpack, I believe. And up next is the button down shirt and shorts. That's after 81 hits. So as soon as Francisco delivers, that's how you guys can win some free stuff. So shout out to Corona. We appreciate your support of the Sevline and the Sevline Army and obviously Orange and Blue thing. So pop on over if you want to relax responsibly. Me and Zappa will be heading out to the marina lot after the show and hang out, crack open a couple cold ones, and then head on into the game. And the Mets are 6-3 whenever we're there.
Yeah.
So after tonight, 7-3. There was a thing that, some haters like to sprinkle out there on the internet the past few years that whenever we're there, the Mets lose. But obviously that narrative is pretty tired because we are like 30 games over 500 in the existence of the Sevline Army. And for us to be around as long as we have been and the Mets to have a better record when we're in the house is a pretty impressive thing. So
especially because most of those seasons were
horrific
losing seasons.
Yeah. So the Mets are 21 games over, 84-63 when the Sevline Army is there. You could basically book it right now. We're going to be 85-63 after tonight, and then 86 after this weekend.
I mean, 21 games over 500 wins you a division. So
yeah.
I mean,
well, we haven't had the best luck so far in Boston. And right now, if we beat the Red Sox, we're helping the Yankees. So I think that everyone is, not everyone, but the Yankee fans are going to be cheering for us this weekend. That's for sure.
They should, but I've always been in the mindset like, I know people are going to hate this view. I don't care what the Yankees do.
Well,
they're not my rival.
They're not, because we're not in the same division, at least yet, because once things get shuffled around, now that everyone's playing each other, we could totally see them being done with the NL, AL, and everyone has the same rules now. There is no, pitchers don't hit, and we'll see what happens. But I don't typically care. Like, I thought it was great last year when the Mets and the Yankees were both first-place teams.
It was awesome.
So much excitement around New York. The Subway Series certainly had way more juice. And, you listen to Yankee fans call into the fan, and it seems like it seems like we're in the same playing field. They're still above 500. Granted, Judge isn't around, but I think they're 4 or 5 games above. They lost the last 2 games horrifically in extras. But
they're also, though, in an awesome division. And I think as of, I don't know, based on last night, I'm pretty sure they're in last place in their division. So that's why they're feeling the pressure.
Well, and guess what? 2 weeks from now, we're going to be in Baltimore. So again, we're going up against 2 AL East teams over the next 2 weeks for our outing. So let's talk about the 2024 outings. I did have it in there in the little rundown of what's going on for the show today. I almost glanced over it and forgot to talk about it. But the schedule did come out last week. That's all usually one of my most favorite days of the year because I start circling what's going on. By the afternoon, I already sent you the calendar of where proposed. That's why I didn't post yet, because it is tentative. And sometimes people get too excited and they get mad that there's certain dates and they conflict with this, conflict with that. But the reason why I sent it to my friends is that not that everyone else watching this is my friend, but us is that I want to make sure I'm not conflicting with anything. Because last year I sent it and Kelly's like, that's this person's wedding, or that's this something's going on.
So
or
we're free for Katie's wedding though, right?
yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
It was
Julia,
like 2 years in a row. You kept trying to book things
on
first
Katie's
her
wedding.
wedding that wound up being rescheduled because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
COVID, and then you tried to book the Brooklyn trip on her new wedding date.
And when I said the date, Julia's like, "You're joking, right?" And I'm like, "No, I just totally forgot." But anyway, nothing seems to conflict for next year. But I'm going to pull it up and at least read it to myself, because I will tell you guys where we are going next year. I already have the plans in place with these road teams and the home games. I have them circled. And I'll be completely honest with you. I wrote it in an email yesterday to the Seven Line Army home package members. The reason why we added more home weekday games this year was because the Mets wanted us to have more games on our plan in order for us to keep that playoff perk, which is a phenomenal perk. I love having it. I'm sure a lot of fans, the reason why they do renew is that if and when the Mets make the playoffs, we get our same seat for every game of the playoffs. And it's not like we have to do half of the games and then move to another seat. Because, like, let's say you buy a 20-game package seat. Someone else has that seat for the other 61 games. So then you can't both sit there. So for us, they give us the option to purchase our same seat for every game. So that's why I did add more weekday games to keep the cost down, because weekday games are typically less expensive than weekend games. That's why we did that. So I do have my wish list set. Obviously, I could tell you that we are doing opening day at Citi Field, of course, against the Milwaukee Brewers. That is Thursday, the 28th of March. And who knows, maybe it'll be sunny and they'll cancel it and we'll play the next day like they did this year. But
and it's a real opening day, right? It's
that's a home opener.
It's a home opener.
Opener. I was thinking about like the way we did it this year, and Steve Cohen sat with us. If we were able to maybe make that a tradition, if the Mets did start on the road, we would go. I think it's an easy flight to go to Miami, and it's usually pretty inexpensive to fly to Miami.
Well, it's more that a lot of stadiums you can't actually get that many tickets.
That's true.
Miami's one of the few teams that don't sell out.
True. I couldn't call the Dodgers and say, hey, I need 2,000 tickets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Maybe that might not happen. But either way, I can tell you at least 3 dates are always going to be on our calendar, and that is opening day, the last game of the regular season, and the Subway Series. So you could do the math there. That is the 28th of March. The Subway Series next year is June 25th. That Tuesday night is the one that we selected. And the last game of the season, which is a Sunday on September 22nd, the Mets do end the season at home. No, they end the season on the road. So they do have a week of baseball after that. So our last game of the regular season at Citi Field will be September 22nd against the Phillies. What I can tell you is that, like I've been talking about, we keep getting emails. Are you guys going to London? Like, yeah, I've been saying it. I get not everyone is as locked into our social media and our show, but I've been saying we are going to London now for a month. We are going to London. I will get to that in a second. But the first away game of the season next year will be a new ballpark for us. That will be Saturday, May 4th in Tampa against the Rays. We have 6 ballparks to hit after this season. And I've been saying if any ballpark lands on a Saturday and we haven't been there, we're going.
You haven't been to Tampa?
We had it planned, and then COVID hit, and they wanted us to still go. They said we could still go, but it was going to be pod seating, which would be like impossible to figure out. Like, if you remember, you can only sit in a pod with like your family.
Yeah, or you had to I sat with Shu.
Yeah,
the first couple games.
So I was
not my family, but
it's like impossible to figure that out. So I said, forget it, we're not going. So Tampa will be on May 4th. When you get to June, that is London. So London, the Saturday game is considered the home game. So I have that circled. I'm talking with the Mets and MLB to figure out the best way to do that, because if you've shopped on the Seven Lines website before, we can't sell internationally, which would not work for this outing, because a lot of Mets fans that live in the UK would want to purchase tickets through us. So we might set it up where it's Mets.com/the Seven Line Army, just like our home games, and then you'll purchase through that, and then we'll figure out the jersey or the t-shirt, or maybe we'll have to mail that on our own. We'll figure that out, but that is confirmed. We're just figuring out the logistics and the details on that. The hotel, I've been getting rates for the hotels. The hotels near the ballpark are like a third of the price compared to the ones in the city, but most people don't like to stay there because there's not that much to do over there. So what I'm learning now, because I'm doing the research, a lot of the MLB and the team organized like events and like things they do around the game is in the city. And it's 40 minutes away on a train to get to the game. So
Yeah, it's closer than it takes us from here.
Yeah, true. And I think that makes more sense because then we could plan some like really big pregame party, maybe even with the Mets because they're going to be home based there as well.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the train or figure out our way over to the ballpark. So,
or, depending on how long people want to go, do 2 different hotels versus the days around the game. And maybe if you
we could give an option.
City,
yeah, true. If you want to spend like a third of the price and then take the train to the pregame party, but then I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll figure that out.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that is our only away game in June because obviously, it's a lot to travel to London and then come back because clearly we have home games in the schedule as well. So May 4th, Tampa, June 8th against the Phillies in London. No away game in July. In August, on the 31st, we will be visiting the Chicago White Sox. I already have an email out with them. I'm going to figure out the deposits and all that soon. Again, that's a new ballpark for us.
Fitting to say that today as we are going to be playing the White Sox.
Absolutely. So that is the away game in August. Then we get to September, and we are going to repeat Philly again because if we're going to sell 1,500 tickets a year, clearly the excitement of going to Philly has not worn off, at least yet. So we will be going to Philly on September 14th. So that's it, guys. So 3 away games plus London. So 4 away games, even though the London one is considered a home game. 4 trips next year. That is the plan. And now that we do have some open weekends, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to add the Cyclones back to the schedule. Maybe we'll try to fit something in maybe May or July or even early August because the Mets, they're only home for 1 Saturday in August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at the schedule. So they're home for 1 homestand in August. It's a lot of away games in August for the Mets.
That's actually crazy.
Crazy. So there's 2, like we have 1 homestand and we're going to be there for 2 of them as a home game because there's nothing else. So that's the story there. So a lot of people are saying, hey, no Astros, no Rangers. We do not do weekday outings on the road. I'm not going to ask fans to take off of work, especially with the majority of the fans that go to the games. They live on the East Coast or maybe they live in New York. So we are not going to go to any road game on a weekday unless we did Baltimore a few years ago on a weekday because it made sense. It's like a bus trip away. But no, we will not be going to any away games. We have to still hit Cleveland. That's a weekday series on a Monday through a Wednesday. In May, we're not doing that. Where else do we have to go?
Detroit.
I don't even know if they're playing Detroit next year. I guess they have to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're coming to us. I don't really know.
Yeah, and it used to be you only play these teams.
Yeah, Detroit's coming to us.
4 years.
Yeah.
So now you should be able to
clock
hope
into
that some weekends in the next couple of years.
So we're clicking 2 more off next year. That will leave us with 4 left after next season, and then we will be done with all of MLB before the A's move to Vegas. We're absolutely gonna lose people to Vegas. I was watching Hangover last night.
There's a good chance that some of us should not go. Like, I don't think Richie and Shu should go, and I probably shouldn't go either.
Yeah. So I think we pretty much covered all bases. Let's talk about tonight's bet. So what we've been doing. I know the lineup probably isn't out yet. Let me just double check.
Check because I can't check anything. I just want to know who's pitching for the White Sox.
Okay, I will look that up because what we've been doing, Zappa and I, and we were in a group with Richie Rincon as well. We've been picking. Well, actually, Richie's been pretty silent lately. I don't know if
Richie took a break.
He took a break,
and then he bet against the Mets, and the Mets won. So
yeah, we've been doing the 2+ bases. We picked 2 players, and no, the lineup's not out yet. But we picked 2 players, and everyone was they were off yesterday, so you could pick the usual suspects are probably going to be out there.
Well, I just want to know if we
2
know
players,
pitching,
2+ bases.
see if it's a righty or a lefty.
Giolito.
Oh, righty.
He is 6-5 with a 3.45 ERA.
He's a solid pitcher. He's up and down a little bit, but he's been decent this year.
What are you feeling?
I mean, definitely going to go Lindor. I'm wearing.
You always do Lindor.
Well, I mean, he usually only gets doubles and home runs, so for 2 bases.
Actually, let me do this live. All right. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, you usually pick the second guy. We usually do 1 and 1. I'll see if it's who.
Let's do Alvarez.
That's who I was thinking.
Okay.
I was between Alvarez and Pete.
So
sometimes you just go with the basics and hope for the best.
Let's see. All right, so we're gonna pop on in if you want to tail with us. Clearly, we were supposed to have a betting partner. It didn't even freaking work out, so that's not happening anymore.
If Alvarez isn't playing, because it is a righty, so who knows if they?
You think they give him the day off? After
they better not.
The day off?
Would you doubt anything they do with this lineup this season?
You're right.
If for some reason they don't, let's go back to the well with let's go with Pete. Maybe
so then we're gonna do 2 bases then. We're gonna do 2 different bets.
Well, no. This is if Alvarez winds up not in the lineup.
I'm doing the bet right now.
Well, you don't even know if he's playing yet.
Who cares? We have to do it. We're talking right now. We're doing it.
Well, I can't put it in yet, but yeah, I'm down for that. But if by the time I get service, if he's not playing, then I'm just going with Pete instead of Alvarez.
Okay, so let's see what this is. This is I should have seen if there's any boosts. So either way, with no boosts, it comes to plus 425.
Take it.
There we go. All right, guys. So that's the bet for the night. And again, we're gonna do two. So it's Lindor and Alvarez, and then also Lindor and Pete, 2+ bases.
Oh.
Hopefully they are winners tonight. I think we covered all bases, right? Everything on here we talked about.
Yeah.
We didn't highlight the tailgate party or the pregame party this Saturday in Boston, which you definitely need to be at, because where else would you want to spend a couple hours of your day before you head on over to the ballpark than with us at what's it called again? Lucky Strike. So head on over to Lucky Strike. The doors will open. Let me scroll down. I think this door is open at noon, because the game's at 4. This is the shirt. It says the Seven Line Army is coming. Or no, the Seven Line Army are coming. And if you don't know what that is, you got to read up on some history. But it is on the 3rd floor. We're taking over like the entire 3rd floor. It's 145 Ipswich Street this Saturday, the 22nd, starting at noon. The game's at 4:10. The drink specials for everyone in our event t-shirts are $5 Budweisers and $12 blue gin and tonics. I will not be drinking gin and tonics.
I will not either. Gin's the one alcohol I don't touch.
Feel free to partake in the specials or, crush some Coronas with us. And when you get to the website, if you click on the blog area, you could scroll down, and that's the bag policy. It pretty much says anything with one compartment is okay. So a drawstring's okay. A fanny pack's okay. And we're going to have a fun time. So,
yeah, no reason not to go. Honestly, the away tailgates are sometimes some of the most fun.
Especially, it might be the only guaranteed win of the day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're going to win, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure today's will be plenty of fun if you're coming down, come talk. But those away tailgates, like, they can get people are excited. It's people that don't go that often.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are some of the best ones. Like Kansas City will always live.
I was just going to bring this up. So last night, we talk about this sometimes, the huge Mets contingent, right? You know what that means when I say huge Mets contingent, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So last night, the Bartolo Colon game was on as the Mets Classic. And I thought that's where a huge Mets contingent came from, because I was watching it on SNY, and it wasn't. It was from Colorado. So I happened to, not to beat a dead horse here, because it's, believe me, I really don't care that much at this point. But I Twitter searched huge Mets contingent, and thinking that it was San Diego, but it wasn't. It was Colorado. Do you know who wrote huge Mets contingent not once but twice on Twitter when referencing the Seven Line Army? It's actually,
there's so many directions to go with this kind of.
Yeah, but you'll never guess. Okay. But since we're talking about Kansas City, it's the only reason I'm bringing it up. This is what I love about the show, is because like things will come up and it'll spark a memory, and nothing's on the paper, and we'll start going on a tangent here. So Jake Eisenberg, who worked for the Mets last year in the radio booth with Howie, then he got but Wayne moved on. And then Jake got hired by the Kansas City Royals. So he works for the Royals now. When he got the job, he put out not one, but 2 tweets on Twitter saying, excited to see the huge Mets contingent, in quotes, out there, hashtag LGM. That was in April. And then in May, when I was on the show with Jay Horowitz, I did that podcast from Citi Field with Jay. Jake then quote tweeted that and said, have loved seeing the Seven Line Army's huge Mets contingent from the broadcast booth too. Awesome to see and hear them out in full force in Denver and Anaheim. So I screenshot both those last night and put it on Twitter. And I said, wow, I just connected the dots onto something with some crying emojis and at Jake. And he wrote, you're a quick one. Can't sneak anything past you. And he asked if we're going to come out to Kansas City. So maybe there's a reason why Jake was only here for 1 year last year.
Speaking of broadcasting, I checked out Friday. I watched the Apple TV. Did you watch?
Yeah.
Apple TV, one, I know people don't have it, and that's what they complain. The visuals are incredible.
I don't have a 4K TV, so it looks the same to me. You were mentioning how good the quality was.
It's amazing. And if Wayne's calling it, Wayne's phenomenal.
Yeah, Wayne's great.
I wish the timing worked out, that Gary was ready to leave with him coming up, because he would be a great replacement.
I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, I think that Keith just signed a new contract. I mean, Gary's great. Like, Gary's great at his job. Gary, Keith, and Ron are great. We poke fun with the whole Mets contingent, whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter at this point. I think Gary's the man. He's great at his job, whatever. But for Jake to put that on Twitter, I thought that was like kind of shocking. especially you're the new guy in town. You're kind of throwing shade on the you know, a legend with the Mets. You know,
maybe he wasn't all too welcoming to Mr. Jake.
Maybe, but I think that that's why I was making a joke, like, oh, maybe that's why he only lasted here a year. But to get a full-time job with Kansas City when he only was doing like fill-in stuff with the fan, not the fan, 880.
Yeah,
excellent upgrade. Especially when you get to, you know, be the man. That's why Wayne, you know, Wayne's probably killing it, to be honest. He got hired by the Angels to be, or whoever, the Angels broadcast partner, to be play-by-play on TV, and he's doing the Apple TV. I mean, Apple's got money.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it's always a bad look to count someone else's bank accounts. I hate it when people do it to me. You'd be like, oh, you own the 7 line, you're crushing it. I'm like, okay. MLB has their hand out every month. Believe me, it's not as lucrative as you might think. But
and I'm sure he's got an agent and
right,
other
of course
people he's got to pay.
But to work for Apple TV was great, and to be on TV with the Angels is great too. So I guess he's just warming up Shohei for when he becomes a Met next year. We'll see.
Maybe we'll overpay for Wayne to come back when we're ready for a new guy.
Yeah. All right, guys. So here's our hour. It goes by quick. It is 3:00. We do have to get out of here. Zappa's going to pick up some ice for the Coronas, and I have to upload this as a podcast. So thanks for sitting in. Shout out to Julia. Julia's helping out with Andrew and Amanda's dog. I don't know if the baby's here yet, but shout out to Andrew and Amanda. Very, very excited for both of you guys. I think it's incredible. You know, I don't want to turn this back to the 7 line, but they met because of the 7 line, and now they're another marriage, another baby's on the way because of the crew. So I think that's absolutely phenomenal. So shout out to you guys. Thanks to Zappa, and we'll see you guys at Citi Field and this weekend in Boston. If you see me on Friday by myself, come and say hello because this guy's going to be at a bar or something. Have a good one. Can you say putting the books backwards? That's what Julia does.
No, Julia's got way more talent than I do.
All right. See you guys.
Later.